Live from Los Angeles, this is Dr. Erin. We come together each day to know the truth, live on spiritual, and align with universal law. We also come together as a community in Soul Society. We're committed to empowerment, enlightenment, and entrepreneurship. We truly believe that when somebody awakens, they have a gift and message to bring to the world. And today we're going to talk about the top sign of a great spiritual thought leader. It's so important to understand the signs, and this is a sign. Great thought leaders create great thought leaders. So if you're somebody who's wanting to do it alone and you think that you don't need a community, you will never be a great thought leader. Great thought leaders create great thought leaders. So let's break this on down. What is a thought leader? What is a leader? Let's just start with that, right? So I remember years ago, I was in ministerial school, and I remember that one of the distinctions between being someone who is just, loved spirituality, that loved, whether it be metaphysics or they were into, some philosophy or whatever, the difference between that and someone who is ministering or someone who's stepping into leadership is somebody that actually holds someone's hand and takes them into action. Right? So first step of being a thought leader is someone who takes people into action. It's you're leading people, you're guiding people. That is what makes you the distinction of a leader or not a leader, okay? So we have to first define what is a leader. There's good leaders, there's bad leaders, right? So thought leaders are thought leaders who, are basically leading people to have higher thoughts, to have greater thoughts, and to really become the highest version of themselves, okay? So we first have to define that, right? So we have to also define what is a leader versus not a leader. So another distinction we use a lot in the leadership realm is your career a hobby or is it an actual career? If you're somebody who's stepping into becoming a spiritual coach, or you're stepping into, having a business online, or whatever it is that you're desiring to do, because I work with both. People have soul-based businesses online. We certify people to become spiritual coaches, and then we actually develop ambassadors to become leaders within our community. And so we have to ask, is this a hobby, like a concept that you have, a dream that you have, but it's not actually making money? Okay, if it doesn't make money, and that's the beautiful thing, is that a lot of people, think that money is the root of all evil. And I think that this is one of the biggest pitfalls of the spiritual world and the thought leadership world, is that we really have to recognize that money is an exchange of energy. It is God in form as well, right? So we have to recognize that if we truly want to be leaders, a measurement of that is money, because it's an exchange of energy. So great leaders do not have hobbies. They have careers, okay? Even if you're a minister can be a great minister and be up there, but if they're not actually helping people to actually take action in their life, then it's just about somebody up on the podium and please revere me. And that's not what I would consider a great leader. I believe that Jesus Christ was saying, you too will do greater things than I. He was teaching us how the Christ consciousness is within us. It's not to revere just him as the God Almighty. It's to say this is the distinctions to help you embody the Christ consciousness that is the cosmic consciousness that allows you to be the greatest version of yourself, okay? So the top sign of a great thought leader is someone who develops great thought leaders. So we also have to understand that it is the difference between a solopreneur and an entrepreneur, okay? So solopreneurs are very much like we talk about the E-Myth. There's a very, very famous book called E-Myth. And very typically a solo entrepreneur thinks, I can do it all on my own. I don't need anybody. I don't need to hire anybody. I don't need a team. I don't need anything. I'm going to just do it on my own because I can do it better than everybody, right? So basically they just go and they try and do it all on their own, okay? So next is basically, in order to become, we have construction going on here. It's very fun in West Hollywood and Los Angeles. It's going to be what it is. Perfection. We know only perfection. So the solo entrepreneur is somebody who tries to do it all on their own. And the entrepreneur is somebody who understands they have to collaborate. They have to come together, right? So next is a coach versus a world-renowned coach. And a coach tries to do it all on their own. In fact, oftentimes I witness coaches. They find everything wrong with every community. They find everything wrong. They end up having followings out with their friends and things like that. A world-renowned coach understands they have to be in community. They have to have a mastermind. They have to have community. Without that, they will never be able to rise to the level that they want. So if they're struggling, generally it's because they have not figured out a community where they can serve and where they can actually rise up in one, okay? So we have to really distinguish what is not a world-renowned spiritual leader. What is not somebody who is a great thought leader? It's somebody who basically is having a hobby versus a career. It's somebody who is a solo entrepreneur versus really stepping into their entrepreneurship. It's somebody who's a coach versus a world-renowned coach. And it's somebody who is having, they're really just finding everything wrong with everything. They go to the next course, they go to the next community, they find something wrong with that one, they go on to the next one, just like all relationships in their life. And they're not willing to stick through the hard times and through the growth process in that, right? So we have to recognize, what is a great thought leader? A great thought leader is someone who develops great thought leaders. And in that, they are developed by great thought leaders, right? So today, I want to just talk a little bit about Inner Circle for a minute. Actually, I want to talk a minute about our 12-week mastermind. So in Soulciety, we do what is called a 12-week mastermind. And we do business mastery, we do spiritual mastery, but we also do a 12-week mastery in a mastermind. And the reason why is because each quarter, as a world-renowned spirit thought leader, you're being developed as that in Soulciety, right? So you have to understand how to build teamwork. And every quarter, you go back through the 12 weeks of mastermind, and you begin to understand how to develop your team. Who's your inner circle? How do you understand? How do you create opportunity instead of problems? How do you create that gap? How do you shift your mindset? How do you take a quantum leap in faith? How do you do all these things? So it's incredibly important to, if you want to be a great thought leader, that you've got to begin to create masterminds in your personal and professional life so that you're not doing on your own. So you're not a solopreneur. So you're not looking at what's making everyone wrong. You're working through the hard times to become the greatest leader that you are. Someone doesn't become a great leader overnight. We become great leaders over persevering through all of it, through going through the hard times, through persevering and developing our teams, through cause and effect, through failing and then keep prevailing, right? Failing to keep prevailing. That's right. So it is important that we understand that the great thought leaders are ones that develop great thought leaders. So hopefully you are in with somebody who, whether it be with me or Soulciety, or you find another thought leader, somebody who's committed to building the actual community. They're not looking to say, here's just all my teachings, and no one gets developed within themselves. We now are developing the ambassadors who want to rise within Soulciety to have their own expression. They can create their own courses. They can have their own people that they're coaching down line. They're also doing all of it, right? So you want to look for groups that are not just, look, you're with me for 12 weeks and goodbye. Like, we're building a community that, if you're ambassador and you're moving up in Soulciety, you are there for lifetime. We are considered community, and we're here for the long run. We're not looking for, here's the next 3-week course, the next 10-week course, the next 12-week course. This is about building a long-term community, building and developing world-renowned spiritual leaders. So it's been an honor, and I get that there's so many incredible online courses, and it's great. You can find one about sales. You can find one about social media. You can find one about the next launch. You can find one about whatever, and that's great. Digital courses are great. But like most people, they go into those courses, they take it, they barely ever apply it, and they rarely even finish it, quite frankly. And it's because they don't have community. They don't have something that is actually sticking with them long term. It's about finding a community that's committed to you, committed to your development over long term. This is not a small thing to become a world-renowned spiritual leader or a thought leader. It's something that takes time. It's something that has to be embodied in the mindset and skill set. And you have to ask yourself, is this a leader that is developing leaders? Is this a leader that's not just developing their own expression, but helping others develop their expression within the community? Is that possible? And I think that's where it needs to go. I personally think that's what, because I've taken the courses. I've done, 25 years of education, okay, development, spiritual practices. And I recognize that I want to have a community where people understand they can build and they can be expressed and they can claim their birthright of prosperity right in the community. So on that note, you guys have a beautiful day. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose and exhaling out. And I just recognize right here and right now that you already are a leader, that inside of you has the wisdom of the entire universe, that you were born for greatness, that you were born to be the expression of everything that you've ever gone through, the suffering, the feeling of scarcity. All that has been designed so that you know how to overcome it, so that you can build and help others in taking them across that bridge to their highest self, taking them in the transformation, taking them in the liberation, taking them in through this process of becoming a leader themselves. Great leaders always develop great leaders. That's what they're here. That's why they are considered thought leaders, because they help others apply thought to the great mind that is the one divine mind and having the great life ever. So together we say, and so it is, you guys. So you can come into the inner circle. It's free in Soulciety. We don't do the 12-week mastermind in there, but you're welcome to join Leadership. That is a 12-week mastermind of business mastery and leadership development and spiritual mastery. But you're welcome to come into the free community inner circle. And we do have a 40-day guided meditation challenge, a manifestation challenge that starts June 1st. That's free in there, 40-day, and we're going to manifest. You're going to pick one thing that you want to manifest in 40 days. You're going to basically manifest. You're going to pray on it. You're going to meditate on it. You're going to put your energy into what it is that you truly want to manifest for 40 days and watch the miracles. That's why 40 days was it's a prophetic, it's also galactic, a term around the planetary term. So it's important to understand there's a reason why it's 40 days. 21 days is great. It's new, it's fast, 3-day challenge, whatever. But we're going to do 40 days because 40 days is our divine right. So have a beautiful day, you guys, and may you live your truth.